What up, YouTube Elleix? Come back at you with another custom StarCraft 2 cast. Today we have a 1 vs 1 matchup featuring the Scion Custom Races Mod, which puts 3 new playable races into the StarCraft universe, 2 of which are featured in this match. Let's go ahead and introduce our players. Spawning on the top left-hand side of the map, it's our purple Genetron player, InanisLector, going up against his opponent. Spawning on the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's our red Xayid player, Quoror. Fun fact, Quoror is my very first channel member. Shout out to my channel members, by the way, Scion Custom, hopefully I said that correctly, and Quoror. Really appreciate you guys. If you want to be a channel member yourself, well, Tier 2 and up does get you 24-hour plus early access to my videos, and VIP tier gets you once a week gameplay with me. It's been fun. Anyway, let's jump back to the show. Both players have expanded here. We jumped a little bit ahead because it was a little quiet and I wanted to get right into the action. So, InanisLector with this natural base, meanwhile Quoror with a third base in Zerg-like fashion, even though this faction is not the Zerg. They are the Xayid, despite their looks. Now, although the Xayid do look a lot like the Zerg, they play a little bit more like a mix between the Terran and the Zerg, so they have to build things consistently. This is actually great timing right here. So, this Siphoner is being consistently built by the Scavenger. You don't need to sacrifice a worker to build things, and you also don't need to sacrifice larvae to build your workers. Instead, you have 3 different macro structures for the Xayid, including the Xayid Den, which has its own set of larvae, and we have the Scorpilisks coming out from this structure. The Scorpilisk, a melee-only unit. It used to have a Venom-type ability, which has been taken out for now due to balancing purposes. So for the time being, this is a melee-only unit with no abilities, but in the past, it did reduce movement speed of any unit it attacks by 40%. Anyway, here we go. We have the Spitfires coming in towards the natural base location for the Xayid player. The Xayidlings and the Roamers, though, with their range, able to chase these things away. InanisLector deciding he doesn't want to overextend necessarily, but we also have a Jupiter on the field. Now, the Jupiter is a sick unit. This is a bomb ship for the Genetron, and I hope to see this in action. We don't see it too often these days. It's kind of a different unit to use. Its mechanics are totally unique. There we go, 1 bomb, and this does do damage over time with its fire. And here we go, another bomb. Unfortunately, that Jupiter going down. The Jupiter, not a cheap unit to lose. All these Spitfires running away. So I appreciate InanisLector's attempt at aggression, but unfortunately, Quoror just way too prepared to deal with this. And it actually, oh, for a second, it looked like Quoror was going for a counterattack of his own. We do have a third base here as well for the Genetron player. Another Jupiter on the field. This thing looks so cool. It looks like straight up a starship you would use in like Elite Dangerous or something. If you guys aren't familiar with Elite Dangerous, that is a space sim. I do like to play those on my own time, although I don't cover that because it's not part of my niche. So this army here is looking mighty scary. This is, I want to say, more like a Tier 1 army at the moment. The Jupiter, I want to say, is more like a Tier 2 unit, in my opinion. Anyway, more units moving for the purple Genetron player. The processors here as well. These are detection units, kind of like an observer, but without the cloak, although they do move a lot faster. Now, I wanted to point out the feeding pools. Now, the feeding pool is like a moon well for the Xayid. 2 Jupiters right here, though, throwing bombs on top of all of this Xayid stuff. That is a brutal hit, man. Oh, and they also have a cloaking ability, so they can cloak, speed up, and then throw down a bomb. It's so cool, man. It takes a lot of micro, so I wouldn't say it's quite broken, although it looks kind of broken right now. The issue is there isn't really a lot of anti-air for our Xayid player. Also, the Xayid Den, or sorry, the Scavenger Nest is on fire right now. A big evacuation of Scavengers. He's trying to run these things to safety. And I was going to say, you don't want to have them piled up because all these workers are going to go down except for a few running to the safety of the feeding pools, which will heal them. And just like that, these Jupiters basically teleporting across the map. Did you guys see how fast that was? That was insane. Taking a look at the workers killed, 12 workers killed in that entire engagement. That's actually not too crazy considering what we just witnessed, which was a lot of workers on fire, and not in the good way. And the scavenger nest, you can see it's being healed right now. That is from the feeding pool, but dude, yeah, a scavenger nest on fire. Kind of hilarious to see a biological structure on fire. Nonetheless, for a second, I thought that was it. I was like, Quoror, what can you do to come back from this? But evidently, InanisLector deciding he didn't want to necessarily throw away all his units. We have a little bit of movement here from the red player as well. These Scorpilisks, they're kind of just cruising. Look at that little dance that they're doing. Will spot the processing core. Now, I forgot to mention, but the Genetron build things a lot like the Protoss, so that processing core is being 3D printed. You don't have to have a worker building it. You just throw down the structure and then you can leave. Although there is a bit of cooldown before you can move your worker. Anyway, oh man, okay, the Jupiter throwing down on these Scorpilisks, setting his own structure on fire though. That was a bit of a flex. The Scorpilisks all over the map. The mole here, though, able to help defend this. Basically a siege tank. Will cause this processing core to spawn with just about half HP, though. And InanisLector is going for the tech. We've got the Badger as well, which is basically your capital ship. Solstice, the creator of this mod, from what I recall, didn't necessarily want his modded races to have kind of a reliance on capital ships, so he called this like a pseudo capital ship. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I don't think he called it a pseudo capital ship. He called it more like a tier like 2.5 unit or something like that. Solstice, if you see this game, let me know down in the comments below if I'm remembering that correctly. A lot of movement here. And this army is looking, I want to say, a little bit small compared to the fact that, you know, we have two Jupiters and that Badger. A big bomb here on top of all this stuff. The Fixers on the back of this repairing these Genetron units. The Fixer basically the medic. The Badger with its shield will be a little bit more tanky. And a lot of this Xayid stuff is going down. The army supply is 62, now 58 to 18. I mean, the numbers are moving constantly. And this army is looking mighty scary. The Bile Pit, basically your photon cannon, trying to defend against this. InanisLector possibly going to be going in for the win, but we have the Exterminators here as well. Will do a ton of damage to all of this Genetron stuff. InanisLector on the retreat. These two Exterminators saving the day. Will take out the Badger as well, potentially. I mean, the Badger's being really tanky right now, taking all these hits. And the Jupiter as well. Unfortunately, the Jupiter can't shoot up. It's literally a bomb ship, and look how fast this thing is. That is insane. Oh, and this is basically a nuke that we're seeing. This this blue circle here, we're going to keep an eye on it as best we can. And there we go. This is going to be damage over time. I want to say for about 8 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. But there's so much action on the map right now. These Exterminators being an absolute menace. Some Xayid units here as well going down. Now, let me find that structure. I believe it is the Olympus that we just witnessed. And here it is, the Olympus kind of tucked away. So this is basically like your nuclear silo. It charges up that hit that we just saw, and you can call this anywhere on the map that you want. Okay, it looks like Quoror satisfied with the Exterminators, going for basically all Exterminators at this point, and these are crazy cool looking units, man. Oh, but the Olympus was spotted, and it looks like it's about to throw down some friendly fire. I wonder if it actually does damage to itself. Yes, it does. I believe so. Look at this. So we'll see if it survives. I don't know if it will. Some Scorpilisks here as well, trying to do some damage, and they will actually finish off the Olympus. So even though the Olympus was kind of looking like it was going to survive, not the case, unfortunately. Oh, man. How many workers killed at this point? 15 by purple, 14 by red. So what the exterminator does, if I'm not mistaken, it basically kind of pings a unit, and then that unit is now on fire, and it explodes every second or something like that, and it does damage to everything around it. So that is what you were seeing there. Some Xayidlings here running towards, I don't even know what base this is, but we have a lot of static defense on the way. Unfortunately, though, not finished. Man, what an action-packed game this is. Okay, this processing core absolutely going to go down, no question about it. The Genetron is aggroed, though, moving across to attack these Xayidlings, and they will go down. These are sacrificial units. Rest in peace. Oh, and we also have what is the mole. So the mole has like a sensor mode and a siege mode. In this case, it's a sensor mode. And look at the mini-map right now. That range is absolutely ridiculous. This is basically a sensor tower, and that is placed very strategically. I like this in the corner right here. The Fixers working diligently to keep these units healthy, but unfortunately, the Exterminators coming in to do some damage. A lot of anti-air here, though, for the Genetron player. The anti-air right here, the Torrent, a really good unit, will push these Exterminators away. And what do we have on the production tab? 16 Xayidlings, I believe, and 5 more Exterminators. Meanwhile, more Torrents on the way. It looks like another Badger here as well. So I think the army composition for the Genetron is going to be relatively consistent at this point. The Badger does shoot up and down, but it kind of shines with anti-ground damage. And once again, this army looking mighty scary for the Genetron. Cleaning up a lot of the Xayid stuff, but the Xayid army staying alive for a little bit. I think some Mendlings here as well to support this. The Mendling is a healing / support unit, and they are currently cloaked right now, but they will shortly decloak. One of them still alive with 0 kills, and look at this. This tiny Mendling is just out for blood. It's like, come back. Where are you going? I'm not done yet. And it's still alive. No way. Okay, finally going down. Looks like a mini queen, that one. Taking a look at the army supply, relatively even still, I mean, in favor for the purple Genetron player. 97 army supply to 85. Really not that huge of a difference, all things considered. This army is also now starting to look really scary for the Xayid player, though. Another base coming down. 2 bases, actually. Quoror going for the double expansion here. And a base on the right-hand side as well for our purple Xayid player, with a lot of static defense being put down. So the repulsor, this is anti-ground static defense. The interdictor for the Genetron is anti-air static defense. Get your mind out of the gutter. I know what you're thinking. Okay, so here we go. These armies kind of moving away from each other, and are we going to see a base race is the question. It kind of looks like that's what we're entering right now. This Xayid den, or sorry, scavenger nest going down. I keep wanting to call it a Xayid den. I don't know why. And it looks like Quoror satisfied with taking out the base on the kind of middle left-hand side. And here we go. We have some cloaked exterminators. I believe that is an ability from the Mendling. But this stuff from the Genetron is just looking so scary. The APM is absolutely insane for both players right now. They are going ham. We'll see if he decides to commit this time around. We also have the Luna Mine, which is a really cool unit. Is basically a floating mine that slowly moves in the direction of enemies and then detonates. If I recall that correctly, I've only seen these Luna Mines like maybe 1 other time, 2 other times possibly, but I don't recall. Anyway, this base number 3, I think, going down. How many workers killed? 47 killed by purple, 40 killed by red. And I think InanisLector feeling very confident right now, taking out base after base. What do we have on the production tab for our... Oh, okay. Oh, we have Krakens on the way. Oh, this will be interesting to see. So the Kraken is basically your capital ship for the Xayid, and it is coming out from the avian nest, and here it is, the Kraken, a really good unit. It has kind of like a... almost like a mini nuke that it can deploy. It's like a ball that explodes and does a bunch of AoE damage. But this army here for the Genetron is getting reinforced. Army supply 123 to 88. And here we go. And this is what I was talking about. It's the volatile discharge. Might actually ping on these, on these Luna mines. Not bad. The Mendling's picking up the other ones. And more Luna mines being placed. This army, though, starting to catch up for the Xayid. We're now at 109 to 78. Army supply still in favor for the Genetron player, but the army composition is also looking really scary for the Xayid player. Here we go, another volatile discharge. They can't be destroyed before they explode, though, as you just saw. The Olympus here shooting a whole lot of nothing, a preemptive volatile discharge. And it looks like they're just going to wait till that goes, and then they might engage again. Now InanisLector, kind of scared to probably go into this choke point, given the fact that we have a lot of potential AoE damage from these Krakens. Another Kraken on the way for the Xayid player. Now the issue is, let's take a look at the worker supply. 73 workers to 34, way in favor for InanisLector. Oh, a lot of Luna mines, though. The Kraken's moving just a little bit. A lot of damage on this one Kraken. The other Krakens do remain relatively healthy, though. And Quoror still in this game despite everything, but he really needs to build more workers because at this point, he's going to start starving for minerals. We have a big move out of scavengers here going towards this right-hand base, but I'm not entirely sure how much longer Quoror can hold out unless he gets his economy back in shape. Now, the issue is, if you let your opponent do this, you might give away a win, and I've done that before. I was way ahead, and in retrospect, I could have won, but I didn't realize how far ahead I was, and it's totally possible. And InanisLector doesn't realize the difference in army supply. Oh, man, a lot of stuff here going down. This base going down. Each base is very important, and at this point, maybe InanisLector is going to go for like a starvation play, just wait out his opponent until he literally can't build anything else, and I think we're kind of there almost. But we'll see. These Krakens are still alive, and as long as they're in this game, one good volatile discharge could really do a lot of damage here. They do take a lot of time to detonate, though, so I mean, they're doing great keeping the Luna mines at bay. That is something to be said, but they detonate so slowly that if you know what you're doing, you can easily dodge those. The issue is, at some point, you might not be looking at the army, right? You might be building, you might be macroing, and one discharge could really ruin your day. At this point, though, the worker supply is still way in favor. It's starting to slowly climb for Quoror. We're now at 40 workers. Army supply, though, 127 to 58 in favor for the purple Genetron player as well. Now, personally, I'd say the Genetron are my best Scion Custom Races race, but it's because they have a kind of, like, custom campaign that features them. So I have the most experience actually playing with them. The Siphoner going down will give away the positioning of this army for the time being, and finally, it looks like Quoror is starting to mine. I mean, he's still not building more workers, and that's probably because he's got two bases that are literally not mining right now. So until he expands, he probably won't be making more workers. He does have a decent mineral pool. He could expand, and I would go for this base, honestly. Maybe this one. This third base location is pretty much mined out. That would be the last one I would take at the moment, but another big move out of purple units here. And this, oh no, this base, there's so many minerals here. And losing this scavenger nest is going to be really, really huge. That is a big deal at this point. Another Olympus shot here as well. Likely won't hit anything. Maybe the siphoner, but I don't think so. We'll see. Nope, does not hit the siphoner. Taking a look at the production tab, we have some, I believe, Casnalisks as well. The Casnalisk does do AoE damage. I understand why Quoror built this thing. Also, let's take a look really quick at the stuff that the Xayid player, or sorry, the Genetron player has. Look at this. We have multiple Olympuses, and they are so cool looking, man. A very devastating structure if it does land a shot, and this is actually really close. I think this feeding pool will get hit. Oh no, the assailants. Okay, these are anti-ground units. Oh, actually, no, the feeding pool does barely not get hit. Oh, here we go, though. Another Olympus shot on top of all this stuff. These Casnalisks not moving at all. Finally moving just a little bit. Granted, they do have a little bit of time, but oh, wow. Okay, that was actually a hit. So a lot of these units will take damage over time. Not necessarily the worst thing. It's not like a nuke where it's burst damage. It's more, you know, it's dot damage. So, yeah, if you don't have anything else you're worrying about, your units can survive, especially the Kraken, which is, you know, a massive unit with a big health pool. But the fact this game is still going is actually pretty crazy. I mean, Quoror, gotta give it to him. He's got a lot of will. I would have GG'd potentially at this point. This base is being replaced, but the base that I suggested the Xayid player might take, InanisLector has taken. An engagement here at around the 4th base location for the Genetron player. The music is picking up. I love the soundtrack for StarCraft, man. I'm very biased, though. Some splash damage, some attempted splash damage here. Both players still doing pretty well. I mean, the worker supply, though, that's the biggest concern for me is the economy. We're at 77 workers for InanisLector to 33 for Quoror. What I might do, given the fact that I have flying units, would be, I mean, these are slow-moving flying units, to be fair, but I would try to do some economic damage of my own and eventually expand. And the issue right now is Quoror does not have a lot of gas. He's got a decent amount of minerals, so the priority here for me would be to expand, but it really depends. I mean, looking at the map, it's basically all owned by purple, and this base going down once again. That is brutal. An Olympus shot on top of these workers. The workers will auto path to the next mining structure, though, so they will be safe. Luckily for Quoror, and it actually looks like Quoror manually moved them. And here we go. Another engagement in the middle of the map. These Olympus shots, the fact that we have multiple Olympus structures, that's just crazy. This gives so much map control to our purple Genetron player. We have an expansion here, though, but we also have the filtering plant being built, so this is right in front of InanisLector's face. That is hilarious. What do we have here? More Olympuses being built. This is crazy. Oh, that is wild. Now, the Genetron, they do have a shared energy pool, so everything you use that uses energy is taken from that pool. Another Olympus shot here. This is kind of base 3/4, I want to say. Luckily, not a lot of workers. 3 workers going down in this engagement so far. How many workers killed total? 92. That is pretty wild. Oh, no. Oh, here we go. An Olympus shot on all this stuff. This stuff will most definitely die. And yes, it does. That was a good hit from InanisLector. These Krakens, though, are a very scary force to be reckoned with. A lot of torrents, though, and I think this is kind of the final stand for Quoror. Oh, throwing down some volatile discharges. 1 or 2 torrents getting hit from that. Quoror throwing out the GG, giving the victory to InanisLector. What a wild, wild game. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please consider shooting me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.